Like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Analysis: the world ignores Myanmar's plight at its peril. This will sound all too familiar to opponents of a brutal regime thousands of miles away in Myanmar. Almost 2 years after a coup and increasingly fading from global headlines, one of Southeast Asia's poorest countries has slipped into a stubborn civil war. By the announcement of election plans for later this year on its own terms, of course the military is betting it can project just enough legitimacy to ease outside pressure. The wider region and the West must boost it instead. Myanmar's troubles didn't start on May 1, February 2021, when Senior General Min Aung Hlaing took power just before a newly elected parliament was due to be sworn in, but they were certainly multiplied. A period of spluttering democracy came to an end as the junta challenged and then annulled the election, which gave Aung San Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy a landslide victory. It unleashed a wave of resistance and repression as the armed forces reclaimed what little ground they had ceded in relaxing military rule a decade earlier. Refugees have poured into neighboring countries, more than 1 million people have been internally displaced, and organized crime has flourished. The regime has inevitably proved economically ruined. So far, soldiers have killed nearly 2,800 people and arrested more than 17,400 in crackdowns on pro-democracy opponents. There were death sentences for activists, including some students, and reports of extrajudicial executions. At least 60 people, many of them civilians, died in an airstrike on an ethnic minority concert in October. Deposed leader Suu Kyi, meanwhile, faces a total sentence of 33 years, a symbol of the country's dashed hopes, though this one-time human rights campaigner was badly sullied by her denial of military atrocities against Myanmar's Rohingya Muslim minority. As Richard Horsey, senior Myanmar advisor at the International Crisis Group, put it to me, the first imperative is to prevent the situation from deteriorating. He notes that the fuss surrounding this year's vote, coupled with the timing, carries the risk, particularly for non-democratic countries in the region, that foreign leaders will be tempted to dismiss the election result as the best of just bad options, accept and continue. After all, Myanmar has been a trouble spot for decades. The West can maintain and add to bilateral sanctions, although UN action remains unlikely given China's and Russia's use of their veto power. The West has limited influence, not none at all. New Delhi and Beijing had different priorities, but China in particular is reluctant to have a powder keg on its doorstep and should be encouraged to even tacitly resist. After all, little love is lost between the military and Beijing. The small achievement of the UN Security Council last month adopting its first resolution on Myanmar in over 7 decades is a largely symbolic move. There is still no formal UN arms embargo, but a hopeful one. So is the continued presence of an ambassador representing the ousted Suu Kyi government. Other countries with remaining ties, such as Japan, should also be put to the test. Then there is ASEAN, for which Myanmar was a litmus test. The West has tried to shift the problem onto ASEAN, but the group has not shown and got caught up in lawsuits too often.